morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a great show for you today. Lots of news to get to. I'm Robby Soave, filling in for Amber Duke. And filling in on the other side of the table is Stephen Olikara, a political commentator. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be on this side of the table.
Yes, very fun. Lots to get to today, especially this big news. It is official. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who made his own run for this year for president as an independent, was selected by the president-elect Donald Trump to head Health and Human Services. RFK Jr. has long been an advocate for what he calls Make America Healthy Again. Let's watch.
This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or Australians or most any other comparable country. And it wasn't always that way. Until the early 1990s, our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Then suddenly, more and more Americans began suffering from chronic diseases, from obesity, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Our maternal mortality rate soared to the highest of any developed country on earth. Same with infant mortality. Like the frog in the slowly boiling water, we didn't really notice as we got sicker and sicker. We've grown now to accept chronic disease conditions as normal. But now, in 2024, we're finally waking up to this cataclysm, and we're asking ourselves, how in the world did this happen?
In a statement following Thursday's announcement, Kennedy said he's eager to work with HHS employees to rid public health agencies of corporate capture and clean up corruption. Now, if confirmed, RFK Jr. would oversee the labyrinth of 13 health agencies with a nearly $2 billion budget. These agencies include the National Institutes of Health, led by formerly Anthony Fauci. RFK Jr. has promised to cut the agencies of bloat, come down hard on the Food and Drug Administration.
Many of RFK Jr.'s beliefs cut against the mainstream, and he's definitely a polarizing figure. For example, Kennedy has promoted false claims about vaccinations for years and founded the nonprofit Children's Health Defense, which promotes anti-vaccine material such as the recent documentary Vax 3, Authorized to Kill. RFK Jr. has embraced a slew of other debunked health-related conspiracy theories, including coming out against low doses of fluoride in water, saying it can cause brain damage. The American Dental Association calls fluoridated water the single most effective public health measure to prevent tooth decay. RFK also wants to cut the nation's obesity rates and its reliance on processed foods.
Now, reaction has been fierce from all sides of the political spectrum. President Trump wrote on X, "For too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to the traditions of gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency to end the chronic disease epidemic and to make America great and healthy again."
Public Citizen, a progressive nonprofit organization focusing on consumer advocacy, said Robert F. Kennedy is a clear and present danger to the nation's health. He shouldn't be allowed in the building at the Department of Health and Human Services, let alone be placed in charge of the nation's public health agency. Trump is courting another policy-driven public health catastrophe, the organization added. Congressman Robert Garcia wrote, "The RFK as health secretary appointment is effing insane. He's a vaccine denier and a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. He will destroy our public health infrastructure and our vaccine distribution systems. This is going to cost lives."
Now, while news of the nomination has drawn plenty of criticism from Democrats, one prominent Dem departed from this reflexive anti-RFK Jr. orthodoxy. That's Colorado Governor Jared Polis, who wrote on X, "I'm excited by the news that the president-elect will appoint RFK Jr. to HHS. He helped us defeat vaccine mandates in Colorado in 2019, and he'll help make America healthy again by shaking up HHS and FDA. I hope he leans into personal choice on vaccines rather than bans, which I think are terrible, just like mandates. But what I'm most optimistic about is taking on Big Pharma and the corporate AG oligopoly to improve our health." So, here we are, RFK Jr. joining the Trump administration if he is confirmed or if they start doing recess appointments. It's part of a slew of nominations that have taken place this week, including Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth, Kristi Noem, and others. Look, I have been grateful for the spotlight RFK Jr. has shown on censorship on social media, the purging of dissident perspectives on COVID. Like RFK Jr., I don't think the COVID vaccines should be mandated. I was totally opposed to President Biden's vaccine mandate for federal workers. That said, I do depart from RFK Jr. on a lot of regulatory topics, and I like Jared Polis. I really appreciated what he said there. I think we should get to the bottom of corruption in the pharmaceutical industry and in the health sector. You know, the fact that the dentist associations think fluoride water is safe, whatever, that might be correct, but they also might have a financial incentive to say that. So let's just, let's not outsource policy to industries that want to engage in regulatory capture. That said, if his tenure is about making it more difficult for people to buy food or putting more restrictions on food or medicine, I would not count that personally as a success.
Look, I know a lot of public health experts are speaking out about this, and I also noticeably saw the Pfizer stock dropped yesterday upon this appointment.
Oh no, not that.
And so I think you're reading some interesting tea leaves here. I think that there are too many additives in our food. One of the first causes I took on as a student was trying to get healthy foods into schools for children, and I saw firsthand how big ag and a lot of these food distribution companies completely have a monopoly on certain regions of our country. And also on top of that, they're not feeding the healthiest stuff. So there is a lot of corruption. RFK Jr. talks about the corporate capture of our federal agencies, and that's definitely true for HHS, and within that, there's the FDA, CDC, and other agencies. So that's the part I'm excited about. I think this makes it probably the most exciting or interesting cabinet appointment pick that Trump has made. But on the other hand, RFK Jr. does have some far out there ideas. The fluoride thing, I'm not an expert in fluoride, but we'll see where that one lands. The discussion around vaccines, there's a way he can frame that can hopefully be less threatening to people, that focuses more, as Governor Polis said, on choice as opposed to banning vaccines outright. And the thing I've learned working in politics is that the interests around food and agriculture are extremely powerful. That's why we have so much high fructose corn syrup in our food, for example. And so if RFK can push back on that, I think it's a positive development.
I always say to people who are like, the food has different, safer, and healthier ingredients, and the drugs are cheaper and all that stuff in every other country. My answer to that is always, well, can we just import it from the other countries then? And there are massive restrictions, government restrictions on doing that. You cannot buy medicine from other countries. And well, if it's cheaper there, we'll just get, Amazon has mastered the art of having things show up on my doorstep the next day. So maybe is there regulations that prevent people from getting access to better, higher quality food and cheaper medicine? We can work on relaxing some of those instead of creating more bureaucracies or more layers of difficulty to come between people and their choices. Because I do think it's important to give people choice, and that's been taken away from them by both administrations. With the vaccines, taking that choice away from people was, I think, a very bad idea. But yeah, like you said, I don't want to make it more difficult for people who want vaccines, as many boosters as they want. That's your choice. Your health is about you. And that's what I hope that RFK Jr. will manifest in this role.
Well, and I think you're right. Both RFK Jr. and Governor Polis spoke about on the leveling the playing field for drugs to be able to import drugs from across international lines. That will have a huge impact on consumers getting lower cost drugs. But there is another element here that I think needs to be talked about more, which is the politics of health. Mm-hmm. So far, eating healthy food and getting additives out of our food system has been mostly talked about on the left. And in fact, Michelle Obama's main initiative as First Lady was Let's Move and Let's Get Healthier Foods to Kids. That initiative exists today as a nonprofit called Partnership for a Healthier America. Great organization. For RFK Jr. to bring this issue to the political right, I think is a game changer. I've always believed that RFK Jr. was essentially the Andrew Yang of 2024, and that he brought a new issue to the national stage and is transforming the politics of an issue. So I think that's really important. Do I agree with every position that RFK Jr. has? No. But do you need a radical change agent to shake up some of these agencies, including HHS? Yes.
Well, we've got a lot more to talk about on Rising today. Please stay with us. Much more to come.